Hi everybody, welcome to Downward Dog Rising. I'm going to give you a little routine today to help you strengthen your core, help strengthen your legs, your quads, your glutes, help you so if you're walking up and down stairs, you have more stability. We want to use our true hip flexors. And let's strengthen our quads, open the hips with some seated positioning on the chair. So if you have a Pilates chair, please join me. And if you don't have one, check out Pilates.com because they have chairs there, also Peak Pilates. So check it out, see if you'd be interested because chairs take up the least amount of space of all the Pilates equipment. Okay, let's get started. Let's sit on our chair. Try 2 springs, number 3 from the bottom. I noticed some of the newer chairs just have 1 spring, so it's probably 1 heavy spring. It's a black spring, or my chair has white springs, which are light, black springs, which are heavy, and then I have a double tier cactus tree, so I get to choose if I want to use a lighter spring, heavy spring. General rule of thumb, just remember, low is light, medium gets heavier, high is heavy. So you can use that little rule accordingly. If you want to increase the load, go to a higher line on your tree. And if you want to go lighter, go to the low. Let's get started. Join me. We're going to sit on our chair. I have 2 springs from the bottom, 2 springs on 3. I'm starting on the balls of my feet, so it's the toes. The metatarsal bone is that meaty portion, the foot pad right under the toes, so we don't want to be just on the tippy toes. Now watch what I do. Make sure that you're not rocking your pelvis like this. We don't want to rock forward or back. If you do this, you're not isolating and stabilizing your pelvis, and you're not allowing the front of that hip flexor to actually do the work. So you have to scoop deeply into your core, lift your heart, and then take a deep exhale as you press the pedal away from your center. Take a deep exhale. Ribs expand, exhale. Pedal only goes down to the point where hips are level, even, and no motion. 6, 5, deep exhale, sit tall. 4 more. And 3 more. 2 more, deep exhale, last one. Awesome. Now, take heels into Pilates V stance. Still have balls of feet on your pedal. Chest is open. Feel like you're lifting your heart to the sky. Deep inhale. Exhale, press. I want you to feel like you're scooping in from pubic bone, zip up to navel. 8. Exhale, 7. Notice how pelvis is stable. 6, 5. Maybe your range is more here, and that's totally cool. 4, 3, 2. Notice how it's relatively silent. We don't want the springs clanging around. Last one. When you have control over your chair, your springs will move silently. Good point to know. Your heels, likewise, if you're on the very edge tip of your heel, that can happen. Your feet can slip and the pedal flies up. We don't want that. Go a little down lower so you're on left and right sides of the heel. And then you could always flex toes to sky. Maybe you hold on to the back of the chair, maybe you hold on to the front. Maybe you make it harder and you don't hold on at all. If you hold on at the back, you're lifting your heart. And you're gonna push down, exhale, press down, keep hips stable. Maybe you have your hands in front, tighten core to spine. And then 7, you're gonna feel the front of those quads lifting off your knees. 6, 5, 4 more, 3 more, 2 more, last one. And I forgot to tell you, sometimes going on the balls of your feet and doing V makes your knees bend too much, the angle. If that ever happens to you and you feel joint pain, then avoid doing it with toes on, balls of feet on. try it just sliding your heels and then maybe a little distance, and then there's a little bit more range of motion there for your joint. They won't, you could see now they're up high, they're rotated more. Here they're down lower, there's a little more space. So if you need to do that little modification, that's good, that's fine too, just to protect your knees. Now we're gonna go wide stance. So when we lie down on the reformer, we have our V stance first position. We have our second position, which is the wide stance, like you're doing a plie, like a ballet dancer. And there's wide squats, so sumo squat. There's different types, like in Shaolin Kung Fu, we'll call it horse stance. So different ways to do that. Here, we're gonna go to the edges of our pedal. Maybe take your hands to your heart. And again, we don't wanna rock, okay? Keep the pelvis and the hips totally motionless on the top of the chair. Now you're just gonna go inhale, press down. Exhale, resist. Inhale, exhale. So you're just feeling how you're controlling from your center. Your shoulder blades are floating down the sides of your back. Exhale. Shoulders away from ears. Scoop the core in deeply to your spine. Inhale, exhale, 5. Here's 4. Use your core. 3. 2 more. And last one. Excellent. Good job, everyone. Next, if you have a yoga block, you can use a yoga block, and then I'm going to show you what a Pilates moon box looks like. I highly recommend that if you buy yourself a chair, that you buy yourself a moon box, because you can do it and modify shoulder work. You could sit on the ground, and this will prop you up so you have more space for your low back and your hips in the front, so it's not uncomfortable to sit upright. Okay, we're going to take this box. If you don't have one of these, use a yoga block, and you would hold the yoga block vertically, so it's like that. You would go behind the chair, and then you would stick it on the floor so that you have room to put your foot to make it a closed chain exercise. And you're also going to grab your spring, lay it all the way down, or set it inside the cactus holder. Either that, the newer ones, you just set them down on the wood, at least on the exo chair. And then I've heard when the spring crashes down, it's because someone didn't lay it all the way down and it just fell when they removed it. So make sure you just take the time. You lay your spring all the way down so it doesn't make that crash noise, and it's less wear and tear on your springs as well. All right, we're gonna sit. We're gonna straddle the chair, and I want you to come into a turned out position. Let's do the heel on the pedal. And I want you to even turn out the leg that's on the opposite side, resting on the moon box or resting on your yoga block. The reason why your foot is on the block is so it's not just dangling in midair and putting more weight and pressure on the side of your back, okay? So we want to have it grounded. You scoop in, you zip up all the way up through top of head. Now we're just going to make sure that our pelvis doesn't teeter-totter, so we don't want the hips rolling side to side. So make sure you're even on each one of your sits bones. And now you're gonna exhale, press, exhale. Maybe even take hands behind head and neck, integrate the front of the ribs down and together. Exhale, reach, inhale, exhale, reach, exhale, reach. And 6, tighten core to spine. 5, you could hold on in the front even. 4, and 3, 2 more. Last one. Excellent. Land your pedal. Now here, let's lift this heel up. We're strong on the ball of our foot. When you lift up your heel, you're going to feel the inner thigh at the top kick on, so that turns on. You're going to feel how your glute activates as opposed to just having your foot be down relaxed. That you'll only get the inner thigh, but when you lift that heel up, you're going to feel your glute activate. So let's activate our glutes. Here, I'm just going to have you inhale to push down. Exhale, scoop, zip up. 9, sit tall. 8, neutral spine. 7, exhale, lift, and 6. Inhale, exhale, lift. 5, Notice how pedal is quiet. 4 and 3, zip up. 2 more. Last one. What I mean by that, if you're using momentum, listen. So you want to avoid just really smashing it down. You want to just control, use your core like that, and you resist up. You're resisting the spring. It's not just flying back up after it hits. So that's what we want to look for. So now, release foot from pedal. You're going to go ahead, slide your box to the other side, and then we just turn around. Make sure your sits bones are equally balanced on top of your chair. You're right on the center of it. I want you to do legs in turned out position. You're going to sit up tall, lift your heart. Low back is neutral. We're trying not to fall back, and we're trying not to go forward. Go right on top of those sits bones. Maybe you want to open shoulders, chest. You can reach to the back of the chair. And then you're just going to go exhale, press the sides tighter. You'll notice things about your body. If one side's tighter, you can hold in front even. Exhale, press, reach through top of head. 9. Your core scoops tight. 7 and 6. 5, control. 4 more. 3 more. 2 more. Scoop those core muscles in. Last one. Wonderful. You're going to bring the pedal all the way back up. Now go to the ball of your foot. Also, if you had knee issues and you needed to sit taller, you could actually sit on a moon box, increasing the space. So if you're like 6 foot tall, and you need some more room for your knees, go ahead and put the moon box over the top of the chair. Carefully get on so it doesn't wiggle and wobble underneath and slip out from underneath you, but you could actually sit on top of the moon box and then just hold the corners of the chair. And then maybe find either a second moon box or find a step or something you could put next to the chair. You could put a chair to put your foot on, anything you could find. All right, let's do this one. Inhale down, scoop and zip up, exhale, lift, exhale. Being careful that it doesn't make your pelvis teeter-totter. Feel the separation between the thigh and the hip joint. 8. It's like you're ungluing the leg out of the hip socket. 7. 6 more. Scoop the core in deeply. And 5. Exhale, lift. 4 more. You're going to exhale, lift. And 3. Scoop in deeply. 2 more times. You're going to exhale, lift. Last one. Awesome. All right. Good job with that. So I want to do one more thing. And then basically, if you order a chair for your home, I think it's advantageous to order a chair that has handles because it'll help you move the chair around easier. Bear with me. I'm grabbing my handles. I'll show you how easy it is. You slide the handle. You pull out the little knob. You find which one you want it to go to. It makes a clicking noise. Now, whenever it clicks in, it doesn't mean it's ready to go. It means it's in the slot that it's supposed to go in. Then you turn the knob to the right to tighten it in. There's a lot of places that avoid that last part. Make sure that when you're doing stuff, you tighten the knob. Because if you're ever on top of the chair lunging and you feel like you're going to lose your balance and you grab that handle, you want to make sure it's in there. It's not going anywhere. So we pull the knob out. That's 1. I'm going to go to 2. You hear the little lock, and then you could just close the knob on it. And then something you need to know, if you want to take out the handle, you only turn it a little bit to unlock it. You pull it out, and the handle comes out. So we don't want to go left, loosey, because if you keep turning your handle left, you're going to unscrew it. We don't want that either. So you just go 1, 2, lock it in. All right. Next, what I'd like for you to do, we're going to go a little heavier. And let me see. am I gonna stand facing you? How am I gonna do this so you could see me? Well, I think what I'll do, let me try to move my mat a little. Let's try to get a little side view, like that. So I can do the least amount of moving the camera. Yeah, that's what I'll do. And then I'm gonna go to a heavy spring, one heavy. So I'm on 3 from the bottom, so I'm gonna go all the way up to the top, one heavy. And then I'm gonna come stand right in front of the chair. I'm gonna go hip distance apart, parallel, meaning they're straight. My front ribs and my back ribs meet in the middle because I'm trying to find my neutral spine. I don't want to tuck my tailbone under, and I don't want to overly let my hip bones drop forward and have my lumbar spine be really lordotic. So just letting my tailbone glide down, my front ribs meet my back ribs, and I'm just going to let one foot come to the center of the pedal. Likewise, I'd like for you to lift your heel up into the air. When you lift your heel up, you're getting this glute turn on. You scoop in, you zip up. You could either hold the handle if you feel really like you need to have support to balance, hold both handles. If you feel like you need a little support, maybe just use your index finger. The least amount of touch, proprioception, can help with your kinesthetic awareness, help your balance. Pick a focal point. We definitely don't want to close our eyes. They help us with our balance and proprioception. So you're just going to hold lightly. If you really wanted to balance, just bring hands to prayer. 8, tighten your core. This glute's working isometrically inside of hip. 7, scoop in, zip up. 6, this will stabilize this opposite ankle joint and the hip. 5, 4 more, use your core. 3 more, keep using your core. 2 more, and last one. Let pedal come to its beginning upright position. No tension, then you remove your foot. Never remove your foot when your pedal's on the ground because the spring's all the way coiled out. If you take your foot off, it'll come flying up rapidly. You could get hurt or you could damage the spring. So then over long term, if you did it that way all the time, it would be too much wear and tear on your spring. So next, switch sides. You're gonna bring the other side, other foot up. You're gonna go right in front of the hip socket. Find that standing neutral. Front ribs meet back ribs. Sometimes hip flexors are tighter on one side and it might pull your pelvis. So really try to let your tailbone lengthen down. You can hold handles lightly. Lift this heel up. You can hold just the thumbs, index fingers I should say. And then if you have your balance, you're gonna feel this glute working. Reach through top of head. Maybe you'll just balance hands to heart. Exhale. Exhale, unglue that leg from the socket. You're gonna feel both sides working. This one's stretching, this one the hip flexors engaging. 7, reach through top of head, scoop in. 6, look straight ahead, find a focal point. 5, 4 more. 3 more. 2 more. And last one. Let pedal come up. Switch, I'm gonna make it a little harder. This one I do want you to hold on so you don't lose your balance, at least this time. Press the pedal to the floor, lift that heel up. So the foot that's on the pedal, you're on the ball of the foot, elevate your heel. Now the leg you're standing on, those glutes are isometrically working. Lift up the heel off your mat. So the foot that you're standing on, you're on the ball of your foot as well. Both feet, you're on the ball of your foot. Now stay up here, reach through top of head, hold on. Core is strong. 8, 7, 6, you could go like that in case you need to hold on. 5, 4, I'm starting to shake. 3, use your core. 2 more. Last one. Woo! And then drop that heel, let the pedal come up to resting state. Maybe just shake out your legs for a second. It looks like you're doing nothing, but if you try it, you'll notice you're doing a lot. So it's misleading like that. Looked like I was doing nothing. It was easy. Meanwhile, my legs are shaking. So next you do ball of foot on the pedal. Lift up that heel. Get that glute on. Hold on. Press pedal to floor. Hold it there for a second. Make sure your hips are straight. Tailbone lengthens down. Front ribs meet back ribs. Go ahead and lift the heel off the ground like your releve. So if you're a dancer, you'd know releve is lifting that heel up. I just will say, like, go on the ball of your foot. Now hold lightly. Let that pedal come up. Notice how one side might feel different than the other. Scoop in tight. You'll feel this glute isometrically working. And 8, 7, 6, 5. Now the leg I'm standing on shaking. 4, 3 more, 2 more. Pick a focal point. Last one. Let that pedal come up and lower that heel down. Shake out your legs. All right. Let me look at the time. Okay. So now I'm going to turn sideways. Here's your V stance. So what does V stance do? We turn from the femur bone, the hip joint, the thigh bone turns out, the knee turns out same degree, and so does the ankle, and then that brings you into that V stance where your heels are together. So I want you to do that. The two hip bones, anterior, superior, iliac spines are in alignment. They face forward. If you were parallel, this would happen. The leg goes up. There's not enough room in the hip socket for the femur bone to clear. So naturally, your hip is going to hike up, and we're not looking to hike your hip up. That's why I need you to do Pilates V stance to the side of the chair. Then you'll see the difference. You're in a V. You drop your tailbone. Your front ribs meet your back ribs. In martial arts, we'd warm up the hips, and we do some circles. So maybe I suggest you lift the knee, turn the thigh bone externally. Lift the knee, turn the thigh bone externally. Lift and turn, lift and turn. Now what if you were just find the pedal? If you had a hip replacement, then we don't go this direction. You would stay in your V. If you had a hip replacement, we don't cross the midline. And then from your V, you would just lift the leg up. I was just giving you a little warm up, but only do that warm up if you have not had a hip replacement. Very important. We don't want the prosthetic piece to pop up out of that joint. Don't want that at all. So you would just start from a V, place the ball of the foot on the pedal, and this would actually feel really good on your joint to do, just not that way. Never cross midline. Lift the heel up high, and then you're just gonna press like that. You're gonna feel the inner thigh wrap into your outer hip under the glute, reach through top of head. This is here if you wanna hold on. 7, 6 more, 5, 4 more, 3, 2 more, and last one. Now bring your pedal to the floor. Now what if you just lift up? I'm gonna hold on so I can talk. Lift up, so you're releve, you're still turned out each foot, your hips are level. So I need more concentration if I wanna let go, and I'm not gonna be able to talk, so I'm just gonna hold on for this set. 7, 6, reach through top of head. 5, 4, you can really feel these muscles here. 3, 2 more, last one, and gently come in. I can do it, I just have to concentrate. Just like if I'm doing yoga and I'm holding a pose, like if I concentrate inward, I can do Vrikshasana, I can't say it, tree pose. Vrikshasana, I'm trying to say it, Vrikshasana. Tree pose, but if I start talking, then I lose my concentration. I'm like, boop. Okay, so now we're gonna do other side. Find your V, heels together, toes apart. Maybe you do this little warm up. 5, 4, not with a hip replacement. 3, 2 more. Last one, find the pedal. Both feet are still turned out in your V stance, tailbone long. Your front ribs meet your back ribs. You can hold on. This one, I can actually talk when my foot's flat on the mat. I'm good with this one. Lift through top of head, 8. This is here, you can even put your index finger on it. 7, head away from tailbone. 6, use your core, keep that spring quiet. 6, exhale. 5, I was letting mine make noise. Now I'm really in there, focus. 4, squeeze that inner outer thigh. 3, scoop the core in tight. 2 more. Last one. This is my stronger leg, so I might be able to balance up in the air. So you're lifted. If you need to hold the handle. 8, whoop, 7, and 6, 5, I'm shaking. 4, 3, 2 more, and last one. I'm shaking. There we go. Let that pedal come up. We're just going to shake out those legs. Awesome. Okay, I'll give you one more and then we'll end for today. This is to strengthen your legs. I'm going to give you, I need to move the fan so I don't hit my head. I got to think about what I'm doing before I do it. When I had my studio, I had space above my head. Now I don't, so I gotta be careful what I'm doing. Now, we're gonna go, I'm just gonna give 2 springs on heavy. You might even have 1 spring at top, 1 spring on bottom. My springs on my chair are a little lighter these days. I have to replace them soon. They're still good. They're just more worn, so I can feel they're not as strong as when you order them new, and they're super tight, and everything is really tight. So what I want you to do, take your moon box or your yoga block, and you make sure you step on the center of it, because if you step on the side, you can knock it over. We don't want that. I'm just keeping you from bottoming out your pedal, and it's easier to use it to get up to the top. You could still step up from the bottom to the top. This just brings you a little closer. I'm just gonna make sure my head goes in between the 2 fan things. Okay. So now what I want you to do, you could either press down on the pedal and your heel will ground down on the yoga block. It's gonna be super, or the moon box. It's gonna be super heavy, so you never just take your foot off of it. You could do this from the bottom or the top. If you do it from the bottom, you would go like that, allow it to bring you up. Toes are flush off the edge of the chair. You would lift up this heel. Now you don't wanna lean way over from the waist. You're going to, let me make sure I'm good, yes. Drop the tailbone long without tucking your tailbone. Distribute the weight 50% through glute, hamstring, down the chain, through the calf, through the ball of the foot. Now this leg's working 50%. Root down into that heel, elevate straight up. Because I'm talking, I'm just gonna put my index fingers here as a reference point. When I do my own workout, I'm silent inwardly, concentrating so I can focus and balance. But when I'm talking like this, I just need to hold lightly. 7, elevate your heart. 6, there shouldn't be any pain in the top knee. Maybe if you modify it, would look like that, smaller range. 5, 4, 3, exhale. So it's great to strengthen your legs, trying to get 50-50 weight through each leg. 2 more, and last one. You could step to the top, foot is flush at the edge. Walk back, you're gonna elevate that heel. You're on the ball of the foot. It might take a couple tries. You need to stand strong and firm on the metatarsals, the ball of the foot, not just your toes. If it's just your toes, you're not gonna get the glute connection and you're not gonna feel safe. You're gonna feel awkward, like it's hard to get that position. Sometimes the AC blows the fan, making sure I don't get the fan hitting me in the head. So now, careful you're not bending at the back. Keep spine long, tailbone long. Activate this gluteal through the back chain, hamstring, calf, all the way, Achilles tendon. That heel's lifted. lift the front of this quad away from your knee joint. You're gonna step back, zip up. Hips are straight, shoulders right above the hips. 9, elevate your heart. 8, scoop tight. 7, front quad lifts off knee. 6, maybe your range is half of mine. 5, elevate. 4, 3, there's other versions where you come up to standing and do a knee lift to chest. I'm not gonna do that today because I'd probably hit my head on the ceiling. 2, last one. Let me see something. No, almost, but. So now to get down, slowly feel when your heel touches the moon box, and then you could step down with the other foot, but be careful because now your pedal is going to be super heavy. It's loaded with 2 springs, and then you carefully walk it up. Excellent. So that's a great way to get off your chair because you never just step back with one foot and be unprepared. And I always prepare my classes by explaining what they're going to feel, what would happen if they do it wrong. And I'm not trying to scare anyone. If I tell you exactly what to be aware of, it's going to help you be better prepared and to know what it feels like. So, knowing what's coming, you have to know your body weight, your center of gravity, and we always stay centered. And the chair is a wonderful piece of equipment, and you just align your anatomical landmarks to the chair to stay safe. Like if you're doing extension and you're lying down on your abdominals, that means you never let your hip bone come off the front of the chair because your center of gravity then is in front of the chair, and guess what? Instead of being centered, it's in front. That means you go down. So you just have to understand how the center of gravity works with the chair, and you'll be fine. You'll never have an issue working with the chair. So with that being said, I hope you enjoyed this lower body strengthening workout. And even though we focused only on lower body and legs, it still utilized your core and it works your center, because you can't cheat on the chair. You have to be able to utilize your core to balance. We do have these, which helped, but I feel safer when you use handles, when you're doing lifts and stuff like that, because if your mind wanders for a half second or a second, so does your gravity, so does your center of balance. If your mind wanders, you're not paying attention, you've lost your concentration and your focus, and then you'll go like that, you'll lose your balance, and as soon as you feel that, all of a sudden, whoop, you're right back in your center and it comes back. But if that realization ever lags behind and that's not there, that could be the day that you go down. You never want that to happen. So I haven't seen that happen, but I've heard plenty about it, of it happening. I actually did see it once where I was working in a studio and an instructor was getting ready. She was practicing and she did back extension. She's sitting here. Her back of her hip bones came off the back of the chair, and the next thing I knew, she did a somersault over and landed on the ground. And then her body was smart because her chin tucked in, so she rolled over the back of her neck, thank God, because had she not done that, she could have had a severe cervical spine injury. So you have to listen and you have to be aware of what's happening and understand how the chair works. All right, thank you very much, everyone. Hope you enjoyed this workout. If you want to work out with me, I do private training. If you have a chair in your home, you could find my website. It's downwarddogrising.com. So thanks for watching. Please hit share, like, or subscribe if you enjoy my content. Thank you so much. Peace. Hope you have a great rest of your morning, afternoon, or evening. Bye. I'll be back soon. Peace.